it's Oxford. You know, it looks really nice on the outside, it looks really fancy on the outside, but then whenever you get to those not so nice areas, it's bad.
Tonight on Hotty Toddy News, we will take a look at poverty in our community and how residents are trying to help those affected. A Chicago organization tuned in on helping young athletes with disabilities is hoping to make the move to Oxford. We'll tell you more about the mission and hear from its founder. And the LGBTQ community here at the university has made gains in recent years, but members of the community feel there is still a long way to go. We'll take a look at that progress coming up. Hotty Toddy News starts now.
From the School of Journalism and New Media on the campus of the University of Mississippi, this is Hotty Toddy News.
Good evening and welcome to Hotty Toddy News. I'm Sarah Gale Myers. Tonight we are taking a special look into the underserved communities right here in our Oxford-Lafayette County area, as well as give a voice to the voiceless. Oxford is known as one of the most beautiful college towns in the U.S., but there are a lot of underlying issues that people don't normally see. Reporter Cameron Frank takes a deeper look into poverty in our area and an organization built to help those in need.
Brittany Marks is a single parent who struggles with getting back on her feet, but then she found Doors of Hope.
Doors of Hope was kind of like, they were like a safe haven, like trying to, just helping me get to where I needed to go.
Doors of Hope Transition Ministries is an organization in Oxford dedicated to helping homelessness in the area. Executive Director Mary Margaret Andrews says it's difficult for families living in Oxford on low salaries.
And sometimes they just need a little help, so it's very humble to be able to help them.
The organization holds a 4 to 6 month program, and during this time helps families at risk with their rent, utilities, and even daycare. After 6 months, most families are ready to live on their own. And Mark says that after participating in the program, she got a degree in social work and currently holds a stable job and has a home.
Pushed me like that, but then my jobs, it helped me to not be afraid to negotiate money, because you have to think of, I have a single parent, so I have to think about money, even though when you go to a job, that's not the first thing you want to ask, but that's something that's very important.
To visitors and many residents, Oxford is the poster town of Southern charm, but much of the community still struggles.
It's Oxford, it looks really nice on the outside, it looks really fancy on the outside, but then whenever you get to those not so nice areas, it's bad.
Volunteer Gabrielle Rush says that one of the goals of Doors of Hope is to shed light on the facing threat of homelessness in the community.
Now as an adult and I'm working here, I had no idea how many people were actually facing the threat of homelessness, or food shortage, daycare shortage. Childcare is super expensive. There's several issues in Oxford that I was completely unaware of, so it's definitely brought that to light.
The Doors of Hope office is located here at the First Presbyterian Church, right across the street from Bottle Tree Bakery in downtown Oxford. This is where you can give donations such as Christmas gifts for struggling families. For Hotty Toddy News, Cameron Frank.
For more information on Doors of Hope, you can visit doorsofhopeoxford.org. And speaking of homes for those in need, Oxford residents Bill and Crystal McKenzie have created a home for study abroad students and their families to live together with them.
We do fun things with the idea and the hope that those will lead to deeper relationships, that we're building trust.
The International Guest House welcomes all those in search of a home away from home. And those who live far away are not the only ones looking for community. Vibes of Oxford is an organization focused on providing inclusion and opportunities for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The program offers daily social activities from games to shopping and going out to eat. The program's goal is to make the adults feel as much as a part of the community as Oxford residents. Families who use Vibes say that this has given their loved ones more confidence, choices, and an overall better quality of life. And while on the subject of organizations helping others, an Ole Miss student has made it her life's work to improve circumstances for young deaf athletes. Reporter Cameron Frank has caught up with her to see how she's doing it.
probably give us 4 to 5 more kids, we hope, or more.
At 8 years old, Ole Miss junior Eliza Peters bought her first pair of hearing aids. However, they came with a damaging cost.
We went to pay for them and they weren't covered by insurance. And that was the first time we had ever heard that they weren't going to be covered by insurance. So my parents and I were obviously shocked.
Although Peters was fortunate to buy the hearing aids up front, many young deaf athletes were not. That startling reality sparked the Hear the Cheers program. Peters is the co-founder of Hear the Cheers and shares the need for the program.
It's about $6,000 to $8,000 depending on the pair you get. So we decided to start Hear the Cheers when I was in 6th grade. And we raised funds for hearing aids and equipment for young athletes and kids who grow up in the Chicago area.
Local audiologist Dr. Haley Messersmith shares just how important hearing aids are for her patients and the struggle that is without them.
Untreated hearing loss for a child has huge ramifications, not only for like their speech and language development. It's hard to learn how to talk if you can't hear yourself talking or other people talking. But language deficits, learning disabilities, very poor academic achievement.
In the last 9 years, the program has raised over $263,000 and will be celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. Every year, the program will fundraise for a month and a half. For every $15 donation, there's a chance to win a prize. These prizes range from receiving a football or basketball of a famous sports team to tickets to a sporting event. Peter says it's inspiring to give back to her community, but it's even more inspiring to meet the kids in person.
I've gotten to go get lunch with them or like go see them at school or just kind of meet their family and hang out with them for an afternoon or a day and just kind of hear their story and how they've dealt with their hearing loss and the difference that the hearing aids or the equipment that they received has made in their life, and it's really, really cool. It's really fulfilling.
Peter says they're hoping to expand right here in the city of Oxford very, very soon. She's also very excited for what they have in store for the years to come. That way the kids out here can hear the cheers all the way from up here. For Hotty Toddy News, Cameron Frank.
You can learn more about Hear the Cheers and the services they try to provide online at the chicagohearingsociety.org. Some services for people with disabilities are welcome, but others, like student disability services on campus, have a difficult time reaching their target demographic. Reporter Caroline Helms looked into why students at Ole Miss are not disclosing their own needs for disabilities.
Ole Miss senior Caroline Manning struggled as a sophomore in high school, and later in life she learned that she was dyslexic.
It's definitely been a bit of a struggle, but definitely not something that I've ever felt that I can't overcome. It's definitely made me stronger.
Manning decided early on in her college career that she would use the resources that the Ole Miss Student Disability Services provide.
I'm someone who typically takes maybe 50 minutes on an exam. It takes me double that time just because I'm having to carefully, read through the questions, make sure I'm not rereading something wrong or misplacing the words.
The Ole Miss Student Disability Services provide accommodations for any student who is struggling with a disability. Director Stacy Raycraft says that going online has enabled them to reach more students.
We have discovered that those virtual meetings have really kind of improved the efficiency of what we're doing. It allows us to get students in much more quickly than before.
Ole Miss senior Sophia Freeman has dyslexia and ADHD. With her disability being mild, she ended her accommodations with SDS 2 years ago. She expressed that it did help, but ending it was personally what was right for her. Raycraft is concerned about students who decide not to report their disability, but legally does not have any way to be involved.
Some students don't come because of the stigma that's related to disability. They don't want to be looked at as being different. They don't want, a perception out there that students with disabilities aren't as capable as other students. So it's very concerning to me if that is why students are not self-disclosing.
Disability services are located on the second floor of Martindale. You can contact them by visiting their website at sds.olemiss.edu and making an in-person or virtual appointment. For Hotty Toddy News, Caroline Helms.
The SDS website offers resources for both local and state residents. And students with disabilities are not the only ones choosing not to reach out for problems. Many mental health issues are going overlooked as well, particularly in men. Reporter Isabella Shelton went to find out why so many men don't seek help.
student Joseph Pinelli was set on joining the Marine Corps, but when he was rejected 2 years ago, he says that triggered severe depression, and he was hesitant to ask for help.
I just didn't want other people to think that I wasn't okay. I don't like other people feeling like bad for me, or sorry for me, I guess.
student Hunter Seals took nearly 2 years to see his therapist for a number of reasons. He says a huge struggle for him was admitting to his family and friends that he needs help.
The majority of guys, you have the ego problem, and you got to make you paint this picture for your friends of yourself, and you don't want to ruin that by explaining all your mental stuff going on.
But according to Mental Health America, men are 3 times more likely to die from suicide compared to women.
I do find that there is a fairly fundamental difference between the way males think and the way females think.
Dr. Phil Bequee owns the Wellness Center of Oxford, a health organization that helps people with depression, addiction, and eating disorders. He says men struggle to be vulnerable with their emotions because of societal stigmas.
And often the opposite of being a man is seen as being a woman or being a feminine. And the idea of femininity from some of these masculine perspectives is like to be emotionally vulnerable and to cry, and it's ridiculous.
The Wellness Center of Oxford, located on Sisk Ave across from Wendy's, has helped over 6,000 people with their mental health issues. Visit oxfordwellness.net to schedule your appointment today. Isabella Shelton, Hotty Toddy News.
The Wellness Center, as well as a counseling center located in Lester Hall on the Ole Miss campus, are both open to all who seek help. There are plenty of reasons that some men avoid reaching out, like former student Denver Haggard, who is now an openly gay man in the Oxford community, but he hid his sexuality for most of his life until his time in college.
But it took me a whole year of college to truly tell my best friend, I'm gay.
And Haggard isn't alone. Many members of the LGBTQ+ community face daily struggles with their identity and feeling accepted, but Ole Miss offers services to help them accept themselves. Reporter Chloe Baker has looked into these services and the progress that Ole Miss has made to create safe spaces for this community.
It's important to say, we think this is important, we value this community, we've dedicated this space, and we're committed to you as part of our larger focus on diversity.
English professor Jamie Harker has been the director of the Sarah Isom Center for Women and Gender Studies since 2016. In her 18 years at the university, Harker has seen great progress made for the LGBTQ+ community on campus.
We have made that a big priority to create inclusive spaces across campus and in the community.
One of these spaces is the LGBTQ+ lounge located on the 4th floor of Lamar Hall.
It's just a space with, when student groups or faculty groups want to meet, we have them there. So more and more, I think it's going to be visible, but it's also for everybody. So it's a place for allies as well.
The lounge was open in fall of 2019, and Harker says it will be revamped in the future. But while events and safe spaces like this are important, Harker says people need to speak more openly about the LGBTQ+ community.
We need people to talk about it and embrace it, and to say publicly, we know you're here, we're glad you're here. Here's how we want to help you and support you.
Ole Miss senior Logan Bishop agrees.
I think a big way of educating people is to just put more exposure to LGBTQ+ people, like show, like in media and things, like things on campus. We could have like same-sex couples in different like pamphlets or things like that, like, or just people having good times.
Both Harker and Bishop say that even allyship from members of the university go a long way in providing support for the LGBTQ+ community.
There's a professor, and they have an equal sign on their door, and like just seeing that alone just made me feel better and like acknowledged.
Whether you are part of the LGBTQ+ community or an ally, lgbtq.olemiss.edu is a place for resources of all kinds, on campus and in the community.
And Harker says the site is still growing.
We're developing what we're calling, they used to be called pink pages, which is like queer-owned and queer-friendly businesses of all sorts.
If you're looking for a space where people have made LGBTQ plus support a priority, whether that be a doctor, religious community, or bookstore, Pink Pages will help you find that. Chloe Baker, Hotty Toddy News.
Although a lot of progress has been made for the Ole Miss LGBTQ plus community, there is still a long way to go. And that is all we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on this special episode of Hotty Toddy News, and the last for this semester. I'm Sarah Gail Myers. Thank you and happy holidays.